All right, welcome back to the show, guys. My name's Ty. We're here with the secondary show, Total Disclosure. And no, I don't have a camera today, which is definitely throwing me off a little bit. I usually like to be on camera, but it's we're trying out this new Wi-Fi with Verizon, and I don't know if I'm liking it, but we did. We're waiting to renew the contract with the other company until we try this one. So I have to suck it up for the month. Thank you, though, for bearing with me through this month while I try to do something else. It's always been a passion of mine, and reaching out to people in this new community has been kind of difficult, but also like easy at the same time. And speaking of which, today I'm joined by someone from the UK, because the UK, by the way, what's up with the UK and this phenomenon? Because there's like a correlation between it, like in the sense of people love it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, by the way.
Yeah. Greg from Pursuit of Paranormal podcast. Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no problem. And like I said, Ash will be on soon. And he's the main UFO guy out of both of us. But yeah, in the UK, there's a massive interest because we've got quite a history of UFOs, and we've got our own like UK Roswell in Rendlesham Forest.
Yeah, the Rendlesham Forest is like, that's like one of my favorite cases because there's so much to it and there's so much hard data, right?
Yes.
And that's the best part of like a story is when you can nail it to it, right? Like when you
100%.
can just document and the recordings, and then it's just amazing, right?
Yeah, those recordings for me, when I first heard about Rendlesham all those years ago, they're so creepy. So creepy when they're talking about, they're going into the words and you can hear the Geiger counters going, and wow.
Yeah, no, and I definitely agree. And you know, there's like a whole skeptic thing about like, oh, it's just the lighthouse coming around, and those guys are like, that's what pisses me off about people in the skeptic like side of this whole thing, is because some of their conclusions or their reasoning debunkings are more far-fetched than the actual like the actual forthcoming story. Because for a person who's entrusted with guarding our nation's literal most dangerous and just secretive weapons, for them to misidentify a flying craft for a lighthouse light that circles around every whatever, I don't know how fast it goes, but for them to mistake that and then take it all these years and swear by it, I find that so disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, it is an insult to intelligence. The fact that these people are trained and they're on an RF base. They're on an RF base. I live right next to the UK's largest RAF base at the moment. So Bryce Norton, where a lot of the troops are going out. So I can see the runway from my house.
Okay.
And I know what's up in the sky, if it's a plane or if it's one of the lights from the base, because it's all lit up. And even me, uneducated me, would know if it was something that probably wasn't a plane or wasn't a normal light that I would been seeing every day for the last few years. I think I'd probably get that. But
in Boston, I live right Logan Airport is, planes go out over my house all day. And then I grew up next to an Air Force base, so I'm very familiar with, what things look like. And then I also use the apps. Like if something, I want to be able to know if it's a satellite or a plane, or if it's transmitting, then we can rule those things out, and we know that it's not those, right? A big common missighting these days is the Starlink satellite.
Don't get me started on Starlink.
Starlink has caused so many false sightings that it's becoming, and then obviously you have the hoaxers, right? Today, I don't know if you're familiar with that. Obviously, I sent it to you and everything, but we were gonna go live earlier, but there was just something in me that was like, this is stupid. And I guess it's just the first time that I've really been involved with the community, and someone tried to pull this. where I kind of bit into it a little bit. I didn't believe that he was telling the truth, but it's like when you drive on the highway and you see a car wreck, you can't help but watch, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You do. And then just like we said, it turned out to be some marketing thing for NFTs and cartoons.
Oh, was it? So we were talking about it, and I said it might be a promotion for a new chocolate bar or something like that.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm just on there now. Yeah.
Even in my notes for the show, which I wrote on Wednesday, mind you, where, is this just an elaborate marketing scheme? And it was. It truly was. But aside from that, Greg, maybe before we get into today's topic, which is going to be, so NASA debuted a new UAP study, which is, just goes to show you that without, leave all the baggage behind, there is this like growing transparency among, the three-lettered agencies and the government and NASA, at least to heed the call of the citizens to look more into this. It is becoming a little bit more socially normal to talk about, which is a good step in the right. It's a step in the right direction. Nonetheless, Congress still isn't asking the right questions, but that's a whole different story. So this new report came out. Before we get into that, how did you get into all this?
So I used to be into the paranormal when I was a lot younger. And I grew up, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 45. So in the 80s, there was only sort of one real program on with paranormal stuff and UFO stuff. And that was Arthur C. Clarke's World of Strange Mysteries. So I used to watch that, and they used to frighten the life out of me about poltergeists and whatnot. And then like the X-Files came on and that started, but I always had a bit of an interest in UFOs because you watch films like Close Encounters and E.T. and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, what is up there? You look up and there's loads of stars. And then I sort of dipped off for a while, and then the last few years, and with lockdown happening, there's all these programs coming on about Skinwalker Ranch, all those kind of programs that are starting to sort of break through. And basically lockdown happened in the UK, as it did everywhere. And me and Ash were friends on an admin group on Facebook.
Okay.
Hadn't really chatted before. Ash put up that he'd got this new UFO identified website. So I messaged him and said, "Oh, that's cool. I'm into the paranormal. Do you fancy doing a podcast?" 2 weeks later, end of December, beginning of December 2020, we launched our podcast, and ever since then we've just been
funny,
balls deep in everything.
That's so weird. Funny because when I first started my show, anyone who knows like my old show or my, not my old show, but the main show of this account, right? So that one, we started 2 years ago. We actually, this month, 9/12 is our anniversary. So yeah, so we just had that, our second year anniversary, and that we had a similar thing. I had my buddy, he lived, next in the same vicinity as I did, so we did the show together in the same room. And I asked him, I said, "You want to do the show? I have this idea," and he thought I was just bullshitting, and so he said yes. And then 2 weeks later, I had all the equipment. I was like, "All right, so come over and we're going to do the show about movies." And we did it. And then we have been balls deep ever since, like you said.
The funniest thing is though, that I've only met Ash in person once. Ash lives at the other end of the country. He's about 4-hour drive away from me. So we've done all this. We've literally met him once last year. So for the first year and a half of doing the podcast, we'd never physically met.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, that's how things are nowadays, though. Like, with this with the UFO co-host that I'm looking for, it's most likely not going to be someone who's in person, right? And I have chemistry things. Like, I'm going to do shows with multiple people, and see who fits the best. Because I definitely don't want to do it alone, right? But I can if I need to, because I know how to talk. But and everyone loves to hear me talk. But just kidding. But anyway, we got our other guy here. I think he's getting ready, so we'll let him do that.
Trying to figure out how to get on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't got my microphone or anything hooked up, so I can't see you guys, but
that's all good.
Hey, Ash.
I'm Low Pop Tart, Jordan.
Hey,
Jordan, what's going on, brother? I like I like that background of spray paint.
Bro, I appreciate it. I got my whole room spray painted, and I actually got a bunch of the foam panels, you know, for like the studio that I did have on there till like just a few minutes ago, but I didn't put them on there right, so I just kind of like fucking redo it, you know what I mean? But I'm setting this room up as my studio though, so like for my YouTube studio, you know what I mean?
Cool. Ash, what's going on? So you're in the UK as well?
Yes, I'm in Manchester, the north of the country.
And you have Greg has said that you have one of the biggest UK databases on UFOs.
Yeah, we have the biggest current day UK.
All right, so before we get, like I said, before we dive into today, so what does that mean specifically?
So there's like so many different places that you can report UFOs to. There's MUFON, there's Newfork, there's Bufora, there's us. There's all these little UFO groups around the country. And all the information's sort of decimated everywhere. So I thought, why don't we just put it all in one place? So I collect all the information from all these different places. So if you want to have a look, you can see everything at once, rather than only seeing one bit of database or another bit of database. You can see all of it at the same time, which is just
better. Yeah. And anytime you can have a, one-stop shop, that's what's going to work the best, and that's what people are going to flock to. And that's, it's something to be very proud of course. I would definitely love to, one day talk to you directly about like all the, not all the information, but dive a little bit more deep into that aspect of it. But today, gonna kind of stick around the, so we've known that a lot of astronauts have reported UFOs over the years. We know Gordon Cooper, Buzz Aldrin, many astronauts though have seen UFOs, and now that NASA's released a study on UFOs, which I have here. I mean, have you guys read it, most of you?
No, so that's what I was going to ask you. I didn't see the actual study yet. All I saw was
did you read the article about it?
Yeah.
I just have this article.
Okay.
I didn't read the study either.
I don't think they've put anything out yet. I think they're starting right now, like in the fall.
Right. Okay.
Releasing how the fucking Pentagon did with releasing the fucking bullshit videos and shit.
Yeah. What do you mean bullshit videos?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
are you talking about the 3 declassified videos?
Yeah, they're good videos, you know what I mean? But most likely they're not ET. Most likely they're man-made. So I mean, they're good videos, good quality, the best quality.
Well, I don't, and I like that you immediatally got into like a debate topic here.
Well, it's like you can tell.
Listen, regardless of whether it's man-made UFO, right, reverse engineered, that's the key point there, or an extraterrestrial UFO, that doesn't matter to the public, because the implication, if it's one, then the other's real too, right? So as far as disclosure goes, and worldwide disclosure, either would make our point, and I think that's where I'm headed, right? I just want the fucking point to be made. And I want people to know that this stuff's out there. Then we can go, then they can scratch the surface and they can do their own research about what's
I try to keep it as simple as possible too, bro. I'm trying, you know what I'm saying? Like, it obviously, the subject gets really, really, really deep, and you can go deep into it into like, you know what I'm saying? But the general public, you're right, has no idea, bro. I had no idea that UFOs were real at all until the government said so in 2020. That's when all my fucking study and research began. Before that, I was fucking clueless. I thought that we were 100% alone in the universe. I didn't think that we were consciously, but I believed, because that's what I was told as. So we have zero evidence. And even like the NASA thing, even they still say that there's zero evidence that these UAPs are of extraterrestrial origin. Bill Nelson, he's a really good guy. He seems like a cool dude. you know, he hints around at the fact that they most likely are, but you know, it's obvious that not all UFOs are ET, but a large majority of them are. I mean, wherever they're from,
I get where you're going.
You know, they're not human, non-human intelligence.
Yeah, so that's the discerning point.
The government just wants to sweep that under the rug, and they want to keep it a mystery for as long as possible, because as long as it's a mystery, then it can potentially be a threat because they don't know. But UFO itself is fucking a part of the cover-up, you know, unidentified. They've been identified since fucking the 1920s or whatever when they started.
Well, the government, the unknown part, like the government is going to always label it a threat because you don't get money from an asset.
That's their job, and that's what
they don't get. You don't get funding unless you will not get public funding unless there's some sort of thing, some sort of threat around why they need it. But I'd be interested to hear from Greg and Ash about what do you think about NASA? Because NASA's long been a little bit behind on this subject, and this it's kind of been, I think that's telling in itself. That they haven't been too forthcoming. Do you guys think NASA knows more than they let on?
I think they have to know more than what they let on, just because they're the ones that are up there. I mean,
right?
They're the ones that have got all the equipment. They get a lot of the data first before anybody else. But I think the key thing to point out about this study is it's only got a very small budget. It's only something like $100,000 budget, which is actually not much at all. I mean, that's only the salary of a couple of scientists, really.
Really? Right.
So the hope is that this sort of beginning study opens the door to more funding, like you say, and more studies, because 100,000 is just nothing. Like, they spend billions elsewhere on pretty much admin, and they're only giving 100,000 to this study. So it's, like I say, it's a couple of salaries for a couple of scientists. That's all it is. And they're going to be looking at past data. But if they can then say, oh, there is something here to further study, then that's when the more money might come in, and then the bigger studies a bit further down the line, really.
Right. So this is obviously just going to be a preliminary data or preliminary study. Like the other guy said before, this wasn't actually the study. I'm sorry, I keep referring to it like that. But I meant just the article about what I like about this is the fact that it is a step forward. You think about it, 10 years ago, if we were having this discussion, this would be UFO community breaking news for the next year and a half, right?
Yeah.
That sure. NASA even said the word, UFO and study in one sentence. So I think, this is such a cool time to be amongst, our peers and, these people who potentially made it possible. And it all did start with, it started with a few individuals who just, didn't want to let this thing go, right? And because I don't know if you guys were in the community or how long you've been in the community, like watching, but this resurgence that it's had ever since that Times article broke is just amazing, and so much stuff has happened in just the last 5 years alone.
Yeah, I was going to say that before that Times article, New York Times article, I don't think even the day before, if you'd have fast forwarded 5 years, you wouldn't have imagined that, like you just said, NASA would be talking about UFO studies. The fact that we're all on YouTube talking about it, and everybody's sort of the same opinion. There is a whole community out there. It's socially acceptable now to talk about UFOs in the workplace without fear of what used to be like
or blackballing. Like, people lost their jobs, and I Lord knows I have my on the surface, I have my problems with Stephen Greer and his approach to things. But one thing is like he's one of the forefathers of this whole movement. With the National Press Club in 2001. Unfortunately, 9/11 happened and it kind of overshadowed everything. But I really think that that was a pivotal point, and he's done good things. A lot of people have done. I think all these dominoes needed to fall, and I'm so happy that they did, and they led us to this place where, yes, now we can freely, openly have a conversation about, are we alone in the universe? Have we ever not been alone? Have these things been here a long time before us, and we're only now starting to be able to perceive them? Because if you what I love most about it is if even one of these fucking things is true, then all of them might be. And that leads us down this whole cool, magical path that like makes life a little bit more interesting. And who doesn't want that?
I mean, the paths we go down are just absolutely insane. Like, even from coming from like a paranormal background and interest, the things that I've been open-minded to is just increased 100-fold, because you go down one path and there's just so many different paths come off that path, and then you go deeper and deeper, there's more and more paths. It's just like, where does it end? It's just things that I, even with a very open mind I had anyway, some of the things that I consider now, you asked me 3 or 4 years ago, I'd have been like, the hell are you talking about? But then now I'm like, oh, actually, why not? Why couldn't that be true? Because it's just as likely as any other theories, because
like,
you don't know what it is. And once you get one of them, then that's it. The floodgates open. Then it's just crazy.
So, actually, I do have a question for you guys, and this one's, each of you can answer it your own way. So, these are some things that I wanted to do in the Wednesday show, which I didn't get to do because of work. But so different shape UFOs, are they different? Much like us as humans, or as human brands. There's different models of one, or is it different models of one or two species, entities, or is it kind of like each shape represents one species, that kind of deal? What's your opinion on that?
Wow.
Go on, Greg.
Because there are a lot of shapes, and the shapes they are like, I was talking to Cheryl Costa, and I asked her after the show, which I wish I asked her on record, was, regionally, do we see more craft of one type in regionally? And there is some data to correlate that. So like orbs are really, really common on the East Coast, whereas triangles and tic tacs or cigar shape is common on the West Coast of the United States. Like, there is commonalities to it, but not enough yet where we could suggest it.
Cool. So I know over the years and over the decades, when you look at the early sightings of UFOs, or modern day sort of early sightings, like around the Roswell times, they do and are slightly different shapes to what they are now. When you've got the Tic Tac, for example, that's like the new flying saucer is the Tic Tac. Everybody knows what a Tic Tac is now.
Agreed.
But then I think you have to think is who or what are they? Because you've got like a nuts and bolts UFO, and is the Tic Tac, for example, is that an intelligent consciousness or whatever of its own? So the fact that it might not be a nuts and bolts craft with something inside of it, it might actually be the thing itself.
Well,
that's another way to look at it.
That's another thing. So are these just, so you'd have to assume that, these aren't the mothership. Like, this isn't this thing, or at least that's my opinion. Some of these things must be drones or unmanned vehicle of, extraterrestrial origin. They're just, or they're craft that leave the mothership and then go rover through, the atmosphere and then down into Earth. And then those are the ones that explore, rather than bringing a mile-long ship down to the ground. And that's at least my point of view with some of them. But then you have interdimensional that could literally just, be here and then gone. That's a whole different story. And I think we're dealing with a lot of different things rather than just one.
Correct. I mean, interdimensional, I'll let Ash say, but interdimensional beings and whatnot, that's something that our podcast has seen, and we've talked about through cryptids, through the paranormal, through to UFOs and UAPs. It's one recurring theme that comes up, is this interdimensional being type, or sentient, or whatever. The fact that they can appear and disappear at will, we can't see them, and then all of a sudden we can see them. They're either vibrating at a different frequency to us, or they're here all the time, but we just can't see them. And that dimension changes, boom, they're here.
Right. And that's what we see when they like kind of blip into our reality and then they kind of fold in on each, you know, you hear in a lot of accounts that the ship kind of folds in on itself and just is gone. Right. That could be it leaving our dimension and we are no longer able to perceive it at that point. Right. So there are so many like different, and again, and I asked all those things because it circles back to if the implication is that one part of this whole mystery is true, then that leaves the door open for everything. And all of a sudden we go through this paradigm change where all paranormal, all otherworldly becomes reality. And like, you know what I mean? All of a sudden we're living in fucking Stranger Things. Like, you know, it could happen. It's so we're on the verge of it. You know, it's really fun for me to think. And then like energy beings, and there was the NASA, it wasn't the NASA astronauts. I think it was Russian astronauts, the cosmonauts that saw beings outside of their vessel, and they were energy beings that looked like giant humans, but like almost angelic. And they said that there was like they were flying in formation outside the craft, but they were the beings. The beings were the ones that were flying, not a craft, right? It was the being was alive, and that's the craft and the being all in one. And it gave them a sense of overwhelming comfort. Instead of you'd think you're in space and you see this thing, right? You'd be freaking the fuck out, but no, they have the opposite, and they feel at peace. So, you know, could we have been mistaking those for angels? Is that something that's, you know, that could be possible? Are these the things that people see during CE5, right? CE5, oftentimes you see these light beings that bend behind people. You know, could there, I know can I call you Jordan? I don't like saying Lil Pop-Tart.
Bro, you can call me whatever you want, man. My real name is Jordan. Lil Pop-Tart's just my stage name, you know what I'm saying? So,
okay.
I mean, whatever you're cool with, man.
So yeah, so Jordan, you perform the CE5 kind of a similar protocol, right? Not exactly.
Yeah, I actually went into this whole shit as a skeptic, and I told you I started studying UFOs in general during the pandemic, beginning of 2020. So Greer's movie, I didn't even know who Stephen Greer was until his movie Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind came out. And I just thought it was another UFO documentary. I was like, cool, you know, like, so I watched it, and it's about making contact. And I was just mind blown. And I thought, okay, either A, it's real, or B, it's fucking not real. And he's just a scammer or whatever. So, but I thought, you know, I looked a little bit online, couldn't find much about him. But I thought, you know, the only way I'll know for sure is, you know, this shit just came out. This documentary just came out. And he's saying that this is the first time that it's been out. And I believed it. And so I'm like, okay, this sounds pretty legit. You know, obviously ETs, if anything's more advanced than us, they're going to have better technology than us. And what is better than having fucking like a cell phone is obviously Neuralink. The next thing is having consciousness-based technology. So obviously they would have some sort of conscious-based technology. They won't be hacking our iPhones. They could hack our brains if that's, you know what I'm saying, theoretically. But it took me 7 months, bro, after the movie came out, of doing it every single day, meditating for 30 minutes or hour, whatever, meditating as long as I could. And then I go outside, didn't see fucking shit for 7 months. So those whole 7 months,
hold on. That's going to be disheartening, though.
It was, bro. I thought he was a fake. I thought the whole UFO subject was fucking like, I thought, man, it's probably just another fucking conspiracy theory. Because, you know, I hated conspiracy theories because I found out when I was a kid that fucking, like, you know, Bigfoot's not real and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I just, like, fucking hated that shit.
Dude, we even found out fucking Santa Claus wasn't real. And why, like even our parents have lied to us for 10 years. It's like, what the fuck?
CE5 is real as fuck, bro. And it's not metaphysical. It's not in your head. You're not fucking on drugs. I do it in my own backyard. I've never met Stephen Greer in person. I go by myself outside. My 3-year-old son, it's so easy. My 3-year-old son did it twice. And so you literally just go outside. And this is what I do. Like, you know, you can watch his protocols, which is good. He gives you the set list of like how to do it somewhat. But it's really all about yourself. It's your own spirituality and shit. And honestly, bro, I haven't even had contact since December. I have not had one contact since December of this year, just because my chakra or mental health, whatever, has been off, and I haven't been giving it much effort at all. And you're supposed to be spiritual and shit like that, but I'm not. I'm materialistic. So whenever I started having success, June 1st, it was like May 31st, the night of, I had my first sighting, and it was because I said, someone on Instagram just said, bro, just stop overthinking it. Just go out there and say, fuck it, and just try it. So I did, and I always say that I just raw dog it now. Like, I don't fucking meditate. I just go out there and just straight give them my fucking address, bro. I swear to God, that's all you have to do. Literally, go out there and give them your address telepathically, and if they fuck with you for whatever reason, you're in a good mood, you're a good person, yada yada, they will show up physically in the sky. And however much you fucking ask them, whenever I started doing that, I had my first sighting. I'm like, okay, bet, let's go. And I kept doing it every night. And I was having 20 to 30 sightings each fucking night for about a week or two. And most of them, though, I'd say fucking 98% are orbs. They're not going to be a physical craft most of the time, just because it's so fucking like overwhelming. If somebody else saw, even me seeing, I've only seen a physical craft twice. And it was that triangle that I told you about. There was like honeycomb. It had red honeycomb breathing, went right over my head. And then whenever my 3-year-old son made his big contact in the middle of the day and made an actual silver disc appear. And that was my big thing, bro, is I personally wanted to know if fucking silver discs, specifically the silver saucers, were real or not. And they fucking are. And I saw it right above my house, literally like fucking could have landed on my house if it dropped down 20 feet. Wow. One piece of metal too, bro. It literally is like how they fucking describe it. It's nothing like the pictures that we see of the fucking Calvine. Calvine looks man-made as fuck.
Calvine, well,
it's cool.
I'm sorry.
It's a good
no.
Cool.
I'm actually. Now I want to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because the Calvine UFO is so. We were told this in the community. We were told that the Calvine UFO was the smoking gun, picture.
Yeah, I mean,
for years.
It's good evidence.
For years. No, it's not.
I mean,
it's
something.
Mick West, which I, respectfully, I dislike.
I don't care for the
I
debunkers,
dislike Mick West so much, but he had a field day with that. He goes, "That's a rock." He debunked.
Well, picking the wrong profession to like debunk those. UFOs are real, so him picking UFOs
I understand.
to like fucking
and again, I'm
he'll
saying
obviously have some cases that he can debunk.
But I'm saying.
And Calvine, I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, that guy put so much he put so much of plausible deniability into people's heads that all they saw was either a rock or other people saw the UFO, and then there was discourse. Like, it wasn't the smoking gun it was promised to be, and it was just another picture of a UFO that we can't use aside from in a collective way. So, as great as it was, it was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, it's good work of the guys to actually get the photo after 30 years. That's the best part of the whole. And
by the way, I want to a shout out to whoever did the recreation photo, because they got so much detail.
Like
right.
We could have lived with the fake one picture.
That's how good it was.
The thing is, bro, they wanted a picture of a physical UFO. All these nuts and bolts UFO people, they want nuts and bolts fucking a picture of a fucking silver disc on a platter. Like, whenever I saw the silver disc, it was for literally 3 or 4, like 5 seconds, bro. I swear to God. As soon as I lifted up this iPad to fucking record it, it knew it read my brain, obviously. It knew that I was about to record, and it fucking shapeshifted in front of my eyeballs. I shit you not.
What does it look like when it shapeshifts?
You don't see it. You see it as one object, and then the next. I didn't see it shrink. I didn't see it physically shrink. Maybe for one split second, I fucking looked at. It was that fast, bro. It literally at the speed of thought. And so it was a solid object, like my fucking car. It was like my car was floating above my house, but except it's a silver disc, one piece of metal. And literally, like how the Zimbabwe kids described it, looked like their UFO looked like water, the sun reflecting off water.
Yeah.
As it hovered above my house, it started to fucking move over to the right just a little bit, and then the sun fucking glared off the side of it for a second, And it literally did look like that. It was just that beautiful. No windows, nothing. But yeah, it fucking shapeshifted, became an orb in less than fucking a split second, like that. Became the orb, and it was literally like less than 1/10 of its original size. And that's why I'm saying they shapeshift, they go back and forth. They can be a physical craft or an orb. Physical craft orb, they go back and forth, but most of the time they're gonna be an orb, because if anyone sees a physical craft, they're gonna shit their pants and be like, "Oh fuck, it's fucking aliens," and then and that's just like common sense. And I'm sure they're like that on other planets that they help evolve. You know, we're not the only life form there is, and you know, there's life all over other dimensions. You know, UFOs from other dimensions, other fucking planets, yada yada, wherever they're from. But the thing is that they're visiting here fucking all the time, and CE5 is real, and it's that easy. And yeah, that's that. And they're peaceful, you know. That's all I know.
So do you guys think that, because obviously, like, we have to be realistic here, right? And this is on a human level. We have to be realistic that even myself, sometimes I get a little scared about the thought that, like, this is true, that there is something that could potentially, if it were to be hostile, which again, I do not, like, I want to preface this, I do not believe they are. If they were, we wouldn't even be able to have the conversation that we're having right now. We would have been
a long time ago.
Yeah, we would have been gone. And then if they do decide that we are to go, we won't even feel it, because they'll hit us. They'll hit us.
Possibility is that we're fucking threat to ourselves so bad that we're either gonna blow ourselves up, or they're just gonna have, or that because we're not just a threat to ourselves. We're bringing weapons into space now. We're a threat to these other dimensions using nuclear weapons. We're a threat to other life. So if we don't fucking evolve and get our shit together, we're either gonna blow ourselves up, that's why every ET that develops to that high of evolution has to be peaceful. Otherwise, they would blow themselves up before they fucking, you know.
So I like your thought process on that, because you mix in a lot of these.
Yeah, I'm legit. I'm honest as fuck. Like, I mean.
Yeah.
Have you seen Nope?
Which
I did, bro. I fucking feel it was decent.
The way he does the UFO in that, I think, was.
I didn't like it.
I absolutely loved it.
I didn't like it. I honest to God, I think I would have rathered a craft that it could have shapeshifted, like all that. I
haven't seen it yet.
But no. But this is like in the marketing. That you see the shape shift in the marketing. It goes from like a circular craft to like something else.
They always put a little bit of real information with the disinformation. That's how it's always been. So
yeah. But I would have rathered it shape shift into, like, you know, something else that's known within the community, right? Because that would have been cool, like, and we would have all been able to relate to it. He did something different, which you can't knock him, because again, if even one of these things is true, then it's all fucking true. So he could be hitting the nail on the head. We don't know.
Reports are similar. I don't want to give it away, but
I love that movie. I gave it. I got to review it early, and I gave it. I gave it a. What did I give it? An 8.5, 8.7. I can't remember.
Elvis movie is the best movie, bro.
What do you guys think the best alien movie is? Like, you know, maybe let's not go Alien, like that series, but what do you think is the best, like, alien style film? Alien, you know, invasion or you know, that. Mine is Arrival, because I think that's something similar to what's really going on.
Close Encounters for me.
Yeah.
Well, that's like basically a documentary about that.
Yeah, I think Arrival for me as well.
Yeah, because
fascinating.
I think the best part of Arrival is because, you know, we're quick in human civilization, or humans as a whole, we're quick to think it's a threat. And what happens when these things show up? People immediately panic, and they go for the trigger. when in reality, at the end of the day, these things were here to help us. And all we needed to do was take the time to hear what they needed to say. That's it.
The McPherson tapes.
Yeah, and listen, tell me we're not in that same position right now. All we need to do is be patient enough and understanding enough to hear what they have to say. And
but we can't listen to each other, so that's just never.
No, very true.
Yeah, but someone's gonna have to step up, and whether it's us as a community and we elect our own officials to talk to them, and bypass the government in general. Because let's face it, I don't think they need the government's permission, right? These beings, if they're here, they're here. And the government doesn't want to let that secret out because they don't want to admit that A, they're inferior to something, and B, they cannot keep us safe anymore, right? Like that admittance totally severs that contract that's made between civilian and government. Those are the things that we need from them, and then they ask us for our loyalty. Without those, there's no loyalty.
I think the scary thing is.
So if the aliens show up, I'm sorry, I'm on a rant here.
No, you carry on.
If the aliens drop down and they're like, listen, your governments have nuclear weapons, they need to go. Anyone who supports that, we have an issue with. I promise you, people are going to side with the aliens and be like, because they become that now they've given us our own chance. And now they're like, we are not going to let you kill yourselves. And because that would have, nuclear, our planet exploding would have repercussions throughout the whole universe. That would send shock. How many asteroids would that push back on the belt? Like the alternate realities. We don't know if we're affecting them when we detonate nukes. So there's so much that we might not even know we're doing. I don't know. That's just me. I hope, like, God forbid there is a nuclear war. I hope that's when they show up and really like make themselves known, and just they take them all out of the sky, and then they drop down and they say, we need to have a talk.
Yeah.
we need to have a fucking talk right now.
I don't know.
And that's it, right? So I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, so just going back a little bit, where we're talking about the government, what would be more scary, the fact that the government say we don't know what these are, or the fact that they go, well, actually we do know what they are, and there's nothing we can do about it. So it's like
cyclones. I'm sorry. No, continue.
So it's like there's I can't remember who said it, and they said what's more scary, the fact that we might be alone, or that we're not alone, or we are alone.
I know that. I know.
Both are scary.
Is it Carl Sagan?
No, that was not. It was not Carl Sagan. It was
So Arthur C. Clarke, maybe.
No, it was someone else.
Someone like that.
It's a great quote, because honestly, it is scary to think that either answer is pretty fucking haunting in itself. But I would rather the universe be teeming with life than to know that we are the only thing out there. Because sadly, if we're the greatest thing out there, I feel bad for the universe, because we clearly can't get over, like, there's a war going on right now. And look, Kyiv, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it as well. Is it Kyiv? The city?
Kyiv. Yeah. Kyiv
just had that science report come out saying that they have they've been naming and branding or cataloging various types of UFOs over Kyiv.
Over the Ukraine, yeah.
So do you think do you think maybe the sightings have gone down in the United States, in other places, because they are over there, paying close attention because clearly Putin is a risk.
I think it's just more.
I feel like they know when the nuclear.
That's what it is.
I feel like they know when the nuclear doomsday is getting close.
I think we'll get an answer as to whether or not they're here
By the way,
help us.
I'm so sorry, guys. This is the first time I've ever had a panel for like a UFO show.
Okay.
So I'm so sorry. This is not. I just lead it and let you guys talk, but I haven't been able to get these things off my chest. Sam Williams, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. And he says, thank you for talking about this subject. I wouldn't have it any other way, guys, honestly, because by talking about the subject, we are doing our direct part in the disclosure process, because every single person who talks about this openly without fear of judgment, getting canceled, or being looked at like you have three heads, like we're doing service to the subject.
Absolutely.
And just want to follow on from where Little Pop talked earlier about the Stephen Gray stuff and the CE5.
Yeah,
so if anyone is interested about trying CE5 or learning more, there's community groups all over the US, all over the UK.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can meet like-minded people. You don't need to pay Stephen Gray or anything. He is a known con man. I do not like the guy. So you don't need to pay £10 for his app. You don't need to pay $5,000 to go out with him where he fakes the UFOs in the sky.
All right, hey, well,
search your local group.
Ash. All right, listen. I get what you're. Listen, because he does like Steven, just because I kind of feel that he started pure in a pure sense of heart.
Yeah, he did.
And
he's got 100%.
He's got connections. He knows what he's talking about. And I think there's some truth to this whole thing. However, I think that, this is how he makes his money. And we all know that when the money comes in, you don't want it to stop, right? That's the fact of greed, right? We know this, but let's not, I just don't want to offend anyone or anything like that.
For sure.
Let's just keep our opinions about the people out of it, and at least on this one, and because there are people who hate Luel Elizondo, and it makes me so mad. But guess what? I understand why they do. Right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Let's not feed into that toxicity. Because that's what needs to be gone. No,
be kind.
Sorry. Yeah, be kind. Because even if we don't like someone in the community, it doesn't affect us.
Yeah, for sure. I don't say I don't like him, but just like you don't have to do his way of doing it. You can, like I said, search for your local group that does CE5. Talk to them.
They're all
Facebook,
over Facebook.
Yeah, go and then meet people in a public place and then learn it. That's the best way to do it.
I actually signed up for one because I wanted to go. I wanted to bring my cameras and record them while they did it. And I was going to do it with them, but I would also have to make sure the cameras are running. So, they were like, oh, you'd be running back and forth. That's not really how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to be meditating, and I was like, Lil Pop Tart's been muted. You're muted.
Oh shit, my bad.
You're good now.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
No, bro, just do CE5. However, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just contact. You know what I'm saying? So literally, as long as you're having good vibes, basically, and they want us to be more spiritual.
I have a laser pointer that I use.
Yes, bro. I got a story I want to tell you about that too, if that's cool. The laser pointer. So my last contact was in December, right, with my kids' grandparents, my baby mom's grandparents, and their son. So it was two people that were with me as witnesses, and it was just a normal night, and they had never really seen. The first night that I made my contact, they were here, but they were leaving because they got kind of scared. But they had heard me talk about it so much that they wanted to try it now, so they were outside trying it with me here, and a solid white orb started coming up close to us, and I'm like, oh shit, I think we got one. And I have my fucking green laser just because I see that Greer uses it. And I'm like, I didn't really know what it's for, but I was just like, okay, fucking, like, that looks cool. Like, I should probably fucking get it. I want to get it. So I got it. And but I never had any interaction with it specifically besides me just, like, pointing at it. So I pointed at the fucking orb, bro, to show Grandpa. I was like, hey, look, you see it? I said, look, Grandpa, you see it? And I pointed the fucking laser at it. As soon as it hit the orb, this fucking orb expanded like 5 or 6 times its size, bro. Got huge, just went boop, 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 boop. Got huge for like 5 or 6 seconds, and then just boop, 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 went back down to normal and like floated off. I'm like, what the fuck? It made them into believers right there. But what I didn't know too, and this is what always happens, like this coincidence specifically, about a week or 2 later, I'm listening or watching one of Greer's fucking interviews or talks or whatever, and he shows a video. I actually posted a video on my Instagram recently. He showed a video of the same exact shit happening. Him shining a green laser at the orb and expanding. And he talks about it. He's like, oh yeah, we got thousands of hours of this phenomena. And at the bottom it says, if you shine your green laser while fucking doing CE5, it'll expand. This is a common phenomenon during CE5. I'm just like, holy fuck, like, this is so fucking weird. I had no idea. I don't even know why they do that or anything, but it's just crazy that that's a common phenomenon at all. You know what I'm saying? It was just so bizarre.
And
that's just one of like so many that I've had. I was only making contact from June 1st, 2021, and then my last contact was in December. So I don't give a fucking number. I always say like at least 50 because I had so many the first 2 weeks. I was seeing so many.
What's it like, that feeling when you vector in a craft?
It feels like you're tripping acid or fucking shrooms, but you're sober as fuck. It's such a trip. It literally feels like you're tripping.
Imagine tripping on acid and doing it.
I want to. Yeah, I know.
I'll fly you here. And
it's legit, bro. Like the real shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, obviously. I got a guy. Don't worry.
I think it would help, for sure. You know, I've had so many positive experiences back in my earlier days, early 20s and shit, with psychedelics, mushrooms and shit.
Yeah, me too. I'm a huge advocate for DMT.
But with the CE5, you're completely sober. I smoke weed when I do it. You know what I'm saying? I got a medical card, but
I live in a recreational state. We're good.
And it, like, another way to describe it, it feels like you're watching a movie.
I'm smoking right now.
Whenever it's a really real, 100% real sighting that you're having, and it's not fucking like super far away or anything, it is literally like watching a movie that you've never seen before, like a sci-fi movie, but it's with your eyeballs. It's really hard to describe.
Oh yeah, it's like your own little sci-fi
movie. The physical craft. Whenever they're an orb, the orbs are just as beautiful. They're super fucking beautiful to see the orbs. I've seen them do crazy shit. One night I saw a red orb and a white orb, literally like looked like they were gonna fly into each other, went right through each other, and then kept going. And then I saw 2 white orbs like right above me. I lay down on my driveway like I was tripping, just lay on the driveway looking at the sky and watch these 2 orbs interact with each other like they were friends, swerving in and out of each other's fucking like shit. And that's when I was having like the 20 to 30.
Yeah. You know, I think, you know, I've never done C5. I told Jordan I'll try it, and after he kind of teaches me the process. But you know, I've always been in touch with my like inner self. I'm so, you know, I was a very, very bad alcoholic. You know, everybody knows this on my channel. I'm very open about it. I went 5 years with nothing. I just recently started smoking again because I know I can handle it. And I don't smoke like, you know, I don't smoke a dab pen all day. I take a couple hits and I feel good, and then, you know, 4 hours later I'll take another couple hits. It's nothing, but it helps me. It does. And I don't think it's a bad thing, because I know I can handle it. But anyway, I've always been okay. Psychedelics and those things, they exist outside of the realm of drugs to me, because drugs are something in my mind that are addictive, and mushrooms, acid, say what you will about it, it's not addicting, like ecstasy is, and that's not something I recommend doing, especially after you're 25, because that's just, you're kind of a loser at that point. No, I'm just kidding, but only at the club. But DMT, mushrooms, acid, and those kind of things, like I know this because when I do them, or when I did them, I haven't done them in many, many, many years. But when you do them, you are in touch. I really think it brings you closer to that other that other dimension, that thing. That spiritual world. Because the next day, you know why the trees are there. You know why. You know why the sun shines the way it does.
Connected, bro. It's all connected to the UFO shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, and it ties back in.
I was a religious person, bro. I grew up super fucking Christian, Republican, right-wing fucking family. And I was told as a kid by my grandma that if aliens were real, then they're fucking demons. So I just what I'm saying?
That's another great topic. I think the government, there is a faction in the government. We know them because there are documentaries and other whistleblowers who have come out and talked about the family. The family is a faction in the U.S. government that only they believe in, this weird version of the Bible. They only really look at the certain parts about, Jesus and second coming and all that. And they think that, it's just like this really weird faction of government, but they are highly, highly influential in the White House and all of that. And there are people in the government that don't want this UFO thing out because of their, religious beliefs. And to me, that is so fucking, that is so disrespectful, because of your beliefs, we can't get the truth. And who the fuck ever appointed the U.S. government or any government that isn't forthcoming about this? Because there are governments who are, that are very open about their studies, but who the fuck told these people that they could hide this shit from us? Because these are conversations that we need to have with our children about, so they're not scared at night about monsters. So, because if every single person goes through a radical paradigm change on the same day, that's when chaos happens. That's the chaos. When everyone goes through what Kevin Day went through, when his life literally shattered, he lost his marriage, his job, all of his money. People thought he was going crazy. He lost a bunch of weight. He was almost going to die. Right? All because of his encounter. What if everybody has that on the same day? Think about that.
You want me to go?
Well, no, Greg, start with that. What if everybody has? What if there is a mass? Like, I don't want to say it because everybody hates this term. But I'm going to the land on the White House lawn kind of thing, right? Yeah. What if it happens and the whole world is forced into disclosure within an instant?
Wow.
Because guys,
religion collapses. Religion collapses in that moment.
Well, the Pope has recently come out and
hedging his bets.
Again, guys, I think that the Pope never, not once in the fucking history of popes, has said or referred to, alien life, publicly at least. This new Pope, said that they are God's children and they'd be respected or they'd be welcomed into the faith. Why would he say that? Unless he knows something that we don't, and he's preparing for this. It seems like we're headed in that direction where, because you got to think about with the 24-hour news cycle and instant, if they did drop down in a central location, whether it be Mount Rushmore, one of these, like the Nazca lines, the Greek or the Athens Colosseum, what is it, the Athens Parthenon.
Yeah.
If they drop down at one of those sites and it's just a mass sighting of, epic proportions, and they come down and get out and they're like, we're here, we've been here, and then the story starts, right? If that happens, what
I don't think it's going to, bro. I really don't think it will ever happen. I think there's a reason why it hasn't, and I think that if something like that did happen, it would be fake. It would really tease.
Are you? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you subscribe to the belief of Stephen Greer's notion that the world governments, or at least the United States government, is complicit in formulating a plan to fakely invade the world? Please.
So I think it's not exactly his notion.
Werner von Braun.
Brown. And yeah, I think it's very possible. I think given what the military's always done and just how the military is, I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's, obviously he's not, no one can predict the future, so he can't say 100% that's going to happen. But them planning it, I'm sure that they fucking have thought about it. They've been dealing with this subject for so long. It's the military. The military's not looking for fucking positive solutions. They're looking for positive solutions for themselves and military. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so it makes sense that they've had this technology since at least the 40s. They haven't been using it to drop bombs or anything. They obviously have been using it. It's been successfully reverse engineered since allegedly 1956. So that means this whole time, however many that they do have by now, they've been using them for fake sightings, fake whatever, and that's
Well, I think contrary to popular belief, I don't think that we're as far. According to Bob Lazar, back in the 80s, we hadn't even scratched the fucking surface on being able to understand these things. I do not think that we are flying.
They probably told him that, what I'm saying? Like the other scientists, I'm sure, didn't really understand it. And it is such a fucking mind-boggling thing that it's so compartmentalized also that one person, we don't know one person that has all the information or all the access or anything.
I don't think one person has it.
But we know that Bob Lazar was working, that what Bob Lazar was talking about was legit. Again, we can't say it's legit because we can't. I'm a journalist. I'm sorry. It's gotta be. My
But
belief is 100% that if I've seen it with my own eyes, there's definitely gotta be some that have crashed or we've shot down. You know what I'm saying, et cetera, throughout history.
So your opinion is that he's telling the truth.
100%. I mean, at least about the fact that maybe he didn't even fucking work on him. I'm sure he did. But I'm saying even if he himself wasn't fucking at Area 51 ever, the government has been working with fucking private corporations regardless of Bob Lazar doing the shit.
Well, you gotta think, right? You gotta think about this. Bob Lazar, we cannot, so when someone says something of that nature, you have to say, in my opinion, Bob Lazar is telling the truth. Because at this time, we can't definitively say it's been confirmed.
You
However,
you can never say of someone else.
Yeah. However, the guy, he is the reason we know about Area 51. Area 51 in 2013 becomes public knowledge due to a FOIA request. And the government can no longer keep it a secret. Plus, they need to, expand the base. So there's just no. It's not feasible to be able to keep this thing under wraps anymore. It comes out, right? Then element 115, something that he was literally laughed at by the scientific community, right?
That's what I'm skeptical.
I'm
skeptical about the 115. I don't know about all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, an isotope in it was not stabilized.
Yeah, he was right about it. I know.
But it was, it was fabricated, and it was, we were able to confirm that it is now element 115 as Moscovium, right? So that vindicates his story, right? And now Gary Nolan is saying that someone in the next, weeks to months to maybe a year is going to come out and whistleblow further on the reverse engineering project.
Oh shit!
So
Gary Nolan's a prankster. I haven't listened much to him, but I fuck with him, bro. He's got some good shit. He's pretty much the main UFO person right now. Like,
yeah, he took over for Lou as the face of the, because I mean he's a Nobel Peace Prize nominee, right? Really? Yeah, the guy is literally like, you could not
he doesn't seem
you could not discredit him in any way because he's so brilliant, smart, and such a good guy that there's no way anyone listening to him will say he's not absolutely being genuine in what he says.
I like the guy. He done some great stuff, and he's obviously very, very obviously respected and great at what he does and what he has done and what he's doing. And he is a great person to sort of, like you say, be the spokesman, sort of taking over from Lou as that sort of top figurehead that we can, in the community, look at, and people outside the community it's something that they can think, oh, this isn't some crackpot, this is actually a respectable scientist, or the work is done. But it's always one of them where it's always going to be, until something does happen, there's always going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's always a lot of hearsay,
of course,
this and
naturally,
that. And I think it's one of them where you can't get to, like when things come out, and especially when people always hint that something's going to come out soon in a video or something's going to come out soon, everyone jumps in it and the hype train starts. And then when it actually comes out what it is, you're like, oh, well, that's a bit of a nothing.
Yeah,
what was all this about? Yeah. So it's one of them where, like, obviously the stuff he's been saying about the whistleblowers coming out and these laws coming out with the whistleblowing and stuff. It's
these are what I did get. I was privy to a document that he. It was something that he was telling someone after an interview that got recorded as like it wasn't he had given authorization to keep recording because it was going to be something they used for a different project, which ended up leaking and getting sent my way through someone I know. And in that second bit, he talks about how if there is a smoking gun for reverse engineering, this guy has it. Dude, it's sounding very, very promising that along with the correlated and corroborative documents that are going to come out with it, I think that in a year, at least at max a year's time, we will know aliens have been here, and that is a fucking crazy thought.
And going back to what I said about what would happen if everyone sort of had the same experience, and that sort of that moment, that world changing moment, is like you mentioned about the Project Bluebeam, the faked invasion stuff. There's always going to be obviously division. There's other people that won't believe it. Like you look at COVID, how the world, like the two factions will turn on each other with the vaxxers, anti-vaxxers, COVID deniers. And you think I can just see the same. If that was to happen, just seeing the same thing happen again. We spend too much time fighting with each other, not actually looking at what's in front of us. And I think that again would happen again. I think when people talk about COVID being like a tester to see how much they can control people, how much see how people react in the social side of it. And they're seeing a lot to know if this happened, how we may react to that happening.
There's only one time that I can personally think of that when citizens gave up their rights for the greater good, they ever got them back. And that was in the 90s with the gun laws in the United States. They were temporarily changed and then changed back. But that was something totally different. But we've given up a lot of our freedoms in a sense, whether we know we did or not. now the government knows that if they say you're not essential, you're going home and you're going to sit in your house. And you may go out to your friends and stuff, but the government knows now that they can dictate what happens next. At there's a scare. There's another COVID scare. They can lock us down within 10 hours. And they know that now. That sucks.
I suppose the only good thing about the gun laws in America is if there was an alien invasion, you'd have some sort of defenses. Whereas we'd be able to be pretty screwed.
I don't know if they're going to work against them.
It's something. It's something.
Yeah, and the Italian government says that when they use their EMP weapon, they have to sacrifice their shield. So that's when we hit them.
Okay.
Like
it's Independence Day.
No, this is legitimate. The Italians in the unidentified series, they have that talk with the in the end of season 1 with the Italian government. The Italian government guys are talking about how they figured out something that's gonna that is revolutionary. And he said because the Italian government they were chasing a UFO in a helicopter, and the UFO hit the fin of the helicopter with like an energy blast, and then the helicopter went down. Luckily, no one was hurt, but there was an aggression taken, right? And from that, they figured out that the only way you can be, they noticed that the shield, the gravitational field that was around it, or that it was distorted around it, had gone down when it supposedly fired that weapon. But there is proof, physical evidence of something hitting the fin, and it's like this little, like it looks like like someone took a laser to the back of the helicopter. It's look it up. It's a really wild case, and it's an Italian case, and there's a bunch more, and it's fascinating. And we know that these things don't show aggression unless they have to.
So on that note about aggression, we've spoken to someone on the podcast, and he claims that guns do not kill the greys. If we're talking about greys as being the
greys, okay. Now we're talking about greys, like you see one in the woods and you shoot it, and it doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So he claims that the only way you can kill these entities is to use like non-guns, weapons. Yeah.
Like
non-ballistic weapons. Swords. Yes. A samurai sword allowed him to kill 19 of them.
What? Oh my God. And you're telling me that this guy killed 19
with proof?
What
DNA proof? DNA proof.
Where are the bodies?
Wow. So he sent off some...
Well, no. I don't mean I don't mean to berate you. You know that. I like you a lot. I do. I like both of you a lot. Good. I want to keep collabing because I like this little crew right here. Because we all have such radical, but that's the great thing about this community is we can all think different things and come together. Like this is a prime example. None of us think the exact same thing, but we can still come together, and our main goal collectively is disclosure.
Absolutely.
Peaceful disclosure. So continue. But what I was going to say is, if you're going to sit there and tell me that he killed these things, and unless when he did kill them, they disintegrated or something to that effect, then there's no reason he shouldn't be able to have snapped a picture of the body.
So he does have a picture of one, doesn't he?
Oh my God!
But ignoring the photo, go on. The story's.
All right,
the
guys.
story is
you're
wilder.
on center stage.
It's wilder than you could even imagine. So, he. Where do we? I don't even know where you start with the story. But anyway, so he has killed 19 grey aliens. For one, he sent off a part of the flesh that was left of one of them, because when he killed one or killed some, that their buddies come along, take them away. Convenient, I get that. But he sent off a piece of the flesh via FedEx to a known scientist, and this is all you can check this, who confirmed that, and the DNA reports on his website, that it was sort of a mixture of
organic. It was an unknown organic DNA sequence. It was organic.
No, it was organic. In nature. So after he gets this DNA report back, the scientist who done the report dies in mysterious circumstances. That's a fact. You can check it. So
why wouldn't he send it to Gary Nolan, who would have gladly done this?
This was years ago.
Oh, okay.
So
Gary wasn't known then.
So for disclosure of this story, it's a guy called John Edmunds who owned, unfortunately he died earlier this year, Stardust Ranch. It's very similar to Skinwalker Ranch, where it's, I don't know if you've got, have you heard of him? Or?
No.
So it's, and where we were talking about like the 1% earlier, wherever 1% of it's true, it could all be real. We had the exact same conversation, me and Ash, saying if only 1% of this that he's telling us is true, bam, yeah. So even if 1% of it's true, it's insane.
With his ranch, Bob Bigelow wanting to buy his ranch.
No way.
Before Skinwalker.
No way.
Yes. Episode 8, Pursuit of the Paranormal podcast. We speak to John Edmunds. And
can you put me in touch with him?
He's dead, unfortunately. I could try paranormal side.
Yeah.
I am so sorry. I didn't hear you say that.
February this year, I think it was.
February this year. So
let's talk after the show. You know, I would love to see, you know, if you have any guests that, you know, I could.
We got loads in America. Loads in America.
And then I can send you some of mine. You know, because I want to expand my conversations with people, and it's, you know, I can get. You know, like I said, I did the pop culture show. I do the pop culture show. I can get in touch with anyone on that side, but, you know, starting fresh, this is only the 4th episode of Total Disclosure. So I'm still like, you know, wading through who's who and, you know, who are these, you know, who are the big people in the community who don't do shows, who do shows. So I appreciate you guys reaching out to me and agreeing to do this. Like much respect to Jordan, to Ash and Greg.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about Nastronauts. Oh my God.
That's what they should be called. That sounds
my God. Nastronauts. It was right there in front of them.
Yeah, it was.
So again, NASA has been sending pilots, scientists, you name it, into space for the past 50 years, 60 years,
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. If you don't subscribe to the conspiracy that we didn't go to the moon, they claim a lot of, I think it's 35% of pilots or 35% of astronauts. At least what I read, that might be bogus. Don't. Take it with a grain of salt. I might be misremembering or, butchering it. 35% of the astronauts who have went into space have seen something they could not identify or could not explain, whether it was a feeling, you know, a revelation of dangers of technology, of how we treat our world, to just all the way to seeing things right outside the window. So, what do you guys think of people like Gordon Cooper?
To be honest, I can't say too much at the top of my head about Gordon Cooper. We probably come back to him, but I wanted to mention there's an astronaut in the UK called Tim Peake, and he was on the space station last year or the year before.
Wait, I'll bring something up.
We don't get many astronauts in the space station from the UK.
I'm sorry, what was his name?
Tim Peake. So he became a bit of a celebrity in the UK because we don't really get many astronauts from here going to the space station, and he's like a household name now after being an astronaut. And he was on Good Morning TV only a couple of months ago, even like maybe 1 month ago. And this is like mainstream TV show, millions of views every morning. And they were talking about the NASA report and stuff. And he was having a full-on discussion about what other astronauts have saw and what his thoughts on other sort of civilizations that are not Earth. It's just crazy to see an actual astronaut discussing it and not laughing about it and not like getting them. Usually, they can joke about it and stuff. So it's just mad to see like him talking about it in a serious manner in front of millions of people in the morning.
Yeah, and that's like I said, circling back to the one of the main points. By the way, this is Tim Peake right here.
That's him.
He looks great in his spacesuit.
He's a good guy, proper good guy as well.
Because look at these ones versus what we have now.
You know what the real rumor is, or what about the Apollo moon landing, how they were followed. That's what actually happened. That we did go to the moon, but we were followed by UFOs, and there was apparently 3 that observed us while we took our first steps. I'm not.
Yeah, but there were no
bases and shit. I don't know about bases or any bullshit like that, but you know what I'm saying. It sounds pretty believable. I mean,
yeah. So that's what I wanted to do. Is guys, can you all mute your mic? Lil Pop Tart, I can also mute your mic for you.
Okay, go ahead, because I don't know how to do it right now. It's not working.
Yeah, just sit back down. I'll mute it. So I just kind of want to preface. God, I cannot talk all of a sudden. I want to talk about this. Give a brief introduction on some of the things that when it comes to NASA and astronauts. There is many theories about a base on the moon, on the dark side of the moon, because the moon is one of those rare, just the way that the orbits are. We always see the way the axis of the Earth is and the moon's trajectory around. It does not show us one side of the moon. That's just the way it is. So there is a dark side of the moon. China's photographed it. We've photographed it. But most of those pictures do not make it back to us unless, like any other NASA picture, fully vetted. We've seen signs of tampering with NASA photos. So there are, Travis Taylor of History Channel and other shows like Skinwalker Ranch. He wants to know what the tower on the moon was. There's pictures of a tower on the moon that NASA's never ever, like, if there's a tower on the moon, Like, why don't we have a better picture of it? Why is it so far away? All these things have happened. Buzz Aldrin says that, crafts followed them from, right outside of our atmosphere, the troposphere and beyond, all the way to the moon, and then watch them take their first steps. Then they went and they did their work, right? Those crafts were there the whole time. He's passed many lie detectors. All these things, all these astronauts, right? Because if military personnel are considered the best, most credible witnesses, then astronauts are the ultra observers, right? Like, that's what they are doing up there. They're observing, reporting, and performing scientific research, collecting data, whether that's organic data, not organic data, I'm sorry, whether that's like rocks from the moon, rocks from wherever, like that's what they're there to do. Far too many astronauts have been either hushed and non-disclosure agreemented, and it sucks. But a lot of them have spoken out, and I think there's far too many of them to call coincidence. What do you guys think? I will start unmuting you now. Starting with Greg.
Good question. I mean, you would think that the astronauts are the ultra observers, I suppose. However, there's lots of times when feeds have been cut, which is odd in itself. And it's very hard to judge distances when you're up in space because you have nothing to...
So the feeds only cut when... My opinion is the feeds only cut when something... Like, yeah, feeds will cut, all the time for real reasons, but there are also deliberate cuts, right? So, astronauts, they're the ones that are sitting there seeing it the whole time. So when they come back and say, we saw something, we need to take that at face value.
Yeah, absolutely we do. Absolutely do, because they're the only ones who are physically there witnessing it. But I do think some of the stuff that is purported to be up in space, so that we see as clips where things are shooting past the screen and whatnot, I think we have to take some of those with a pinch of salt. But
because they could be...
I do think they're more likely to know. So you've got somebody like Tim Peake, or you've got some of the others that are up in space for like 12 months or whatever at a time. They're going to be accustomed to knowing what is out there that would be normal to see.
Right.
They're circling the Earth, they're orbiting the Earth every 90 minutes. So throughout the course of 24 hours, they're however long they have, 18 times or something like that.
Yeah.
However, so they should be able to spot something that isn't normally there.
And they know. So when you pass over Bermuda and Puerto Rico, these lights come up, refract up, for some reason, and that happens all throughout their orbit. It happens in various places where even really, really bright, because like these fishermen, they use these extra bright lights, and sometimes they'll reflect off the water and then back up, and then light travels and they'll get a glimmer of it up in space. They don't know what it is, or it's not that they don't know what it is, they've deduced what it is at this point. They know that's not a UFO. But when they say there's these craft that watched us our first step onto the moon, that's got to speak volumes.
They did say that they were all on the horizon, watching us. Yeah, that's it. How could anybody who wasn't there debunk that? I don't know how you could. They could never.
Thank you for subscribing to the show, Grandmaster UV. We've had a great amount of I think it's plus 100 subscribers in the past 15 days. So
very good. Very good.
Yeah, we're making our way. We're almost at 2,000 on YouTube. And then, Spotify, it's a whole nother ball game. That's where most of our audience is. But
so yeah, they're saying, they're stepping off and they're saying we can see them on the horizon, they're watching us. I don't know how you could ever suggest that wasn't what they were seeing. I mean, I think I'd want to be back in that pod, back on the way to Earth as quick as I could at that point. But yeah, I don't know how you debunk that. I think some of the stuff they might see in space, I don't know. Like I said, you can't tell distance very easily when you're looking outside. So it's very difficult to see how big an object is, how far away it is. But I get the fact that they are saying stuff like they're outside, we can see them, that kind of stuff. I get that.
The ETs are astronauts themselves, bro. When you really think about it, they're pilots, they're astronauts, they're flying these machines. They are astronauts themselves. So, they've been watching us since, literally like a baby, like take our first steps, and now they're watching us evolve. So, of course, they're going to fucking let the first people ever to leave Earth walk on the moon. They're going to allow them to see them. They could have, the UFOs, the ETs could have watched them invisibly if they wanted to. They chose to let them be seen for a reason. And if somebody like me has seen them with my own eyes, how the fuck would I discredit fucking that goddamn astronaut, you know what I'm saying? Or, military Top Gun pilot or someone like that claims to see the same exact shit that I've seen, you know what I'm saying? So I have to believe them almost. I can understand people's skepticism also to not believe at all and not believe anybody's UFO stories. I was the same way. But, once you just study the subject even a little bit, you get more open-minded. And the more you study really, I've learned more from the UFO subject than I did from school, church, anything, honestly.
Yeah, I think then you go back to who is a credible witness. So you've got if you're saying that the astronauts are the nastronauts.
Yeah, I'm not considered a credible witness. Even I am a witness, but you know what I'm saying.
But a credible witness.
I'm an unemployed fucking witness, so I'm just like nobody really cares. Kanye fucking is following me, and that's my main person who I'm trying to, get on board the UFO fucking shit. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like I've tried calling the news station. Nobody's gonna fuck with me like that. So that's why I'm glad that you are giving me a platform to discuss the subject, but also tell my own stories as well. Because I consider myself pretty well educated on the subject. I'm really passionate about it at the very least, and I love it, and it's what I like to do. But I'm also a witness too, so I have my own stories, as well.
Yeah, I love that, guys. Ash, how much longer do you have? You're muted.
I'm easy, to be honest.
What?
Maybe 15, 20 minutes or so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, perfect. I'll wrap it up at that time anyway. My ideal show is like 90 minutes. So like an hour and a half. So usually I'd be wrapping it up here, but there's so much to talk about and so much to get into in our first initial meeting. I would love to come on your guys' show as well.
Anytime.
Yeah. Definitely.
I love talking to you guys, man. I really do. Again, you guys are more like the CE5 stuff and all that. Like, yeah. I would never tell someone not to do it. But I think I fall in line with, how you guys are. I'm open to anything, but until I see it with my own eyes, I can't, I just can't. And the fact that Stephen Greer charges so much money to go hang out with him for 3 days on a retreat where all he wants to do is talk to you about all his connections and, all that stuff. Like, that's not my idea of a good time.
Now, me and Ash have, like Ash alluded to a little bit earlier, we were saying that if we'd said 2 years ago what we'd be talking about now, on the podcast and
Be
on
blasphemous.
shows. We've been talking about interdimensional beings. We're talking about reincarnation, time slips, poltergeists, and we've spoken to somebody who claims that he was the essential gatekeeper for God to allow people to go through to the next realm. If not, they would come back to be reincarnated. And saying it out loud, and the guy who kills 19 aliens, saying that all out loud 2 years ago, I'd have just gone, that's crazy. But the world is evolving. People are open to this kind of stuff. I think since COVID, there's been a lot more introspective look that people have had and gone, actually, there is more out there. People have started investigating. People have started to look at stuff in a bit more detail. People are looking up in the skies a little bit more, maybe looking for a higher being to come and save us from all this weird shit that's happening right at the moment, because it couldn't be any weirder.
I don't go outside without my eyes being always glued to the sky.
I always look up.
Why don't we? Like, why wouldn't we? The only time I look down is like cross the road and like, just kidding. But no, I like, I really do. I love this. I love this community, or at least I love the community that we're building. Right. I don't mean us three, but the community that is going to be that solidarity, because we're going to be the ones. Think about this, guys. All those UFO researchers, they're getting older. We're the next type of that. We're the next people that are going to usher this in a different way. We'll be the ones most likely to live in the world where we finally know, like Linda Moulton Howe, they're getting older. All these astronauts, they're getting older. Even Greer getting older. These guys are getting older. They're not going to be around forever. So if disclosure with a capital D happens, Jacques Vallée might not even be there. And that sucks. Jacques Vallée is the fucking pioneer, along with, even as much as I don't like to admit it, Allen Hynek, without him, we're nowhere near. Because the Project Blue Book study, yes, that might have been, that might have had an ending written before the story, but the way he flipped after was telling, and that told people that he, with all the evidence he came across, the biggest skeptic, was able to be turned. That and don't you guys notice that there's this weird, trend that if someone who's a skeptic, or even just someone who doesn't really know much about the topic, has one of these experiences, they dedicate the rest of their lives to searching for answers. No,
yeah. You go about like Lou Azando, like whether his thoughts were before he sort of did all the stuff with the government investigations. After he's come out of it, he's carried on. And that's where you got to think, why is he wanting to carry on and get deeper into it? It's not his job anymore. So you got to think he's got to know something to want to carry it on. There's got to be something to it.
I agreed. What do you guys think of Chris Mellon?
Ash?
Again, he's high profile, highly respectable person with a lot of credence to him as well. And so I want to mention, when you talk about the astronauts and sort of being credible witnesses, Lil Pop Tart said he wasn't credible witnesses, but he is. Everybody can be a credible witness. Just because you're not a pilot or an astronaut or a scientist doesn't mean unless you drop your phone.
He was shocked to the core by that statement.
I'm trying to record do this on my fucking iPad.
I'm gonna mute you for a minute while you set up, because I'm a stickler. I have audio box. I have an audio box, US, XLR microphones. I'm very stickler about, because these will play on my audio platforms as well. And
Cool.
people tune out when they start hearing that stuff. Like the clicks and clacks, even though they know we're all not home, or well, when in the audio, my Spotify has video. I was one of the first
Same.
podcasts to get video, so you know, I'm happy about that. But you know, is there something that you guys, Ash? I asked Greg earlier, what got you into this?
So mine was a UFO sighting when I was.
Oh, tell me more.
Tell me again, Ash.
I don't think Greg's heard this one. So it was 1997. I know it's 1997 because it's when the Hale-Bopp comet was over. Well, it's over the UK. I don't know if it was over US. It was visible in our sky for like 3 months in 1997. And it was one night, it was just a clear night. So we were all out in the street looking at the comet. There's like a few kids, handful of adults. And we all saw a classic black triangle just slowly just move across the entire sky. Just clear as day. You could see like sort of, you could see the three lights, one light in each corner, triangle shape. The sky sort of darkened behind it, so it looked like it was some sort of physical. There's definitely something there. You could tell there's some sort of craft. Just took about a minute to get across the whole of the sky. Just silently, pretty fast. We all saw it. All the adults were like, that's not a plane. Don't know what that is. And then, so I was only 10 years old, and that made me think, what was it? And then 25 years later, I'm still trying to find the answer. And that's kicked off a whole lifelong interest in the whole UFO thing. And then obviously last 4 or 5 years more into the wider paranormal.
Because people who did see these crafts were finally vindicated, you know, that they weren't crazy. I'm in talks to talk to Dr. Keitel. She was one of the girls. She was the person who got the footage of the Phoenix Lights. And you know, she's so passionate and she's done so much for this community. You know, she has a documentary about the Phoenix Lights that's got, you know, 40 something awards or 140 awards, like, you know. So it's just you know, we need these kind of people that aren't in it for the money, people that aren't in it for anything aside from, you know, getting the world to know the truth. Right? Because first and foremost, that needs to be upfront. The abduction shit, no offense to anybody, but that needs to stay back here for a while, because the public will not take well to that, and we don't get disclosed. As much as, you know, again, circling back to, if one of it's real, it's all real. You know, we have to assume it's all real. Abductions, yes, they very well could be real, and they probably are in a sense. You know, if there's not one ET or interdimensional species running around, I'm sure there's one that does scientific, and that could tie into cattle mutilation, but we won't go down that. You know, I just don't think that's what's going to win us disclosure, because people are going to get really frightened enough that they're not alone. We don't need to add abductions on.
Yeah, you don't give them too much. You need to, for the general public, you have to, take it slower than what we would like to say. I think to get that acceptance, it's for sure.
I think
also,
oh, go ahead.
So go. No, you go. You go.
I was just saying, I think the only way, I think that the abduction thing, if the government, there's two types of disclosure, you know what I'm saying? There's peaceful and then there's non-peaceful disclosure. So it's all about how like we talked about earlier, I don't think there's going to be a big, you know, landing where they just all of a sudden show us that they're here. You know, they've been doing it slowly like this, whatever, for a reason, whatever the reasons are, I don't know. But for whatever reasons, that's how they operate. And they haven't done that yet, so we don't have reason to believe that they would do that. So we have to, one, we can wait on the government if we want to, whether they have a peaceful or non-peaceful disclosure, whatever. That's why I love C5 so much, is you're literally bypassing their government. You're not waiting for the government or anybody to release fucking videos, pictures, whatever, you're making your own evidence, and you're literally seeing it with your own eyes, and you're not having to believe anyone else. You just believe yourself, and you're making direct. It's so direct. And that's why I'm like, okay, well, if anyone else is lying about this or that or whatever, then whatever. Like, I don't have reason to believe. Most people in the UFO community, I don't think, are liars. You know, there's obviously some people that are gonna fucking make shit up for whatever, especially like blogs and shit. But the subject in general is pretty legit. You know what I'm saying? I don't see too much fucking fake shit. You know, people always say that everything's fake, but I don't see that much fucking, unless you go to TikTok and shit. There's a lot of fake UFO videos. But the CE5 is just like making direct. You don't have to wait on the government. And if you build a relationship with them, I've never made face-to-face contact, but allegedly that's what happens once you start building a relationship and you start making better contact. I'm not even a spiritual person. I don't even meditate. So I can only imagine if I did meditate and people claim to get into this fucking spiritual realm where they like basically like abducted, they go on ships with fucking apparently close encounters of the fourth kind where you get brought on board a craft. It can be peaceful too. So not all abduction, you know, experiencers claim that they're negative too. Some people claim that they give positive shit. I don't know. I don't look into the abductions, but allegedly I know that you can
get on. Is he cutting out or is it just me?
Maybe I am. Am I cutting out?
Nah, it's all good.
Getting on board the craft for CE4 would be insane, but no, I've never seen a being with my own eyes, but you build that relationship with him, and you know, you don't have to wait. You know, you literally get this stimulation. The UFO subject itself is stimulating. Watching the documentaries and everything stimulates your brain so much because it's real and it's something smarter than us. So it's like making us smarter in a way. And then unless you get into the fear shit, and when they start bringing the fear into it, then you get scared, and that's the lowest form of frequency, and that's not right. So yeah, man.
Other than that, yeah.
But yeah.
But all right, so I mean, we're gonna be wrapping it up in just a moment, guys. I can't say thank you enough for you guys joining us on this ride. And this is obviously not going to be the last by any means. You know, for us, you know, I do ask this. You know, where I have an audience. You know, typically for my my pop culture show. You know, where you know we have upwards of 50 to 75 watching at a time. You know, it's going to take time for our audience to like, you know, adapt, and you know the ones from the movie community to adapt to also wanting to listen to this, but also bringing in a new audience as well. So if you guys can help out with that, and share our show, share our links, share the links that you know you're a part of as well, obviously, so it's not just one-sided. And then I'll share your shows. I want to come on. I want to talk more, and you know, I want to have you guys on here more. So maybe we could do this, you know, where we agree on a panel night once a week, and then, you know, you know, rotate. So on your channel, one Wednesday, you know, Wednesday as a loose, you know, day, but you know, I'll alternate between weeks, and that way, you know, we can do it on each channel.
Hey, can I say one more thing before I go?
Yeah.
About the stimulation thing. That's I lost my train of thought. The stimulation thing. When you're doing
simulation or stim,
like your brain, like it stimulates your brain, like deep,
oh yeah,
like whatever. That making CE5 contact is the most stimulating thing. You know, psychedelics and stuff, it stimulates your brain. All types of drugs stimulate your brain. Watching movies, your social media shit, that all stimulates your brain. This is like the highest form. And since my kid had such a positive contact too, that's why I'm like, okay, teenagers, kids, everybody can and should be doing this. It's the most stimulating, healthy, physically healthy, and mentally healthy activity that you can do. Most activities these days aren't healthy or good for you. You know, so this is one that's positive. And, you know, it's all about your intentions. People always like, people that are about, you know, being scared. I don't know about ghosts or, you know, demons or anything. I'm sure if you got a Ouija board and you know did a bunch of shit, you could contact demons if that was your intent. This is your intent is making contact with peaceful beings. You know what I'm saying? That's literally what peaceful ETs. So there's only been one time where I got scared, and that's just because I was super fucking high. I took a dab and went out there and heard a noise. I heard something in the back. I was like, oh shit, I'm going inside. But I knew it wasn't fucking, you know, anything extraterrestrial. It was just me.
But do you guys think that's the consensus, though? For the most part, don't be scared. Like, for humans around the world that might listen to this.
It might not be, but it should.
Like, but as of right now, I do not think that there's a hostile
threat.
A hostile threat to
we are the threat, and that's the big
society.
That's the plot twist in the movies and the movie Nope. Everything is that this whole time they were never the threat. Even Jeremy Corbell is, you know, so many people say that we shoot down UFOs. We are the threat. We're the ones with nuclear weapons, with all these weapons. There's, you know, to what I believe to be zero evidence of them ever harming Earth or a human. I've never seen any evidence of it.
There is evidence.
All I know is for them.
But the thing is, Jordan, that most of the time, the evidence is that the person was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And it
was inadvertent.
Yeah.
And then look at one of the most famous abduction cases outside of Betty and Barney Hill was Travis Walton.
Yeah.
You know, and they say that they brought him on the craft to save him. He believes that.
But you watch the movie, and the movies completely make it look
because they Hollywoodized it.
But that's the plot twist. The real plot twist in real life is that we are the killers. We're the primitive, monkey-like fucking creatures with guns and nuclear weapons, and they're the fucking peaceful ones trying to get us to evolve and be smarter and be peaceful. Then if you believe this,
I agree. I agree completely. That we are, and I do want to get, you know, Ash. Do you want to take off?
Okay, I'm okay for a couple minutes. That's cool.
Here.
So a couple minutes is fine.
All right, cool. You know, I think, and I think the correlation between nuclear weapons and the uptick in visitations from whatever they are definitely correlated, that and bodies of water. So I think that water and nuclear, like, I think water is why they're here, you know, to use it as a resource for themselves as well. But they're also here because they need to keep an eye on us, because we reached a threshold. Once you split the atom, I believe you send a signal, or the first time you explode one, I don't know what the actual thing is. I bet it's the splitting of the atom and then, you know, blowing it up that signals the rest of the let's call it, for lack of a better term, the Galactic Federation. And they now know, because they're peaceful and they just want to see the best for all, you know, species, and they don't want to interfere too much because they want us to be able to, you know, fall. They want us to be able to get back up.
They want us to evolve as naturally as possible.
Right. And so I think they'll only interfere if necessary. If you know, if we throw a tantrum that we'll never come back from. So, you know, I think that as of right now, nothing to fear. I think people should sleep very, very comfortably knowing. Honestly, I sleep better knowing that they're there, potentially to help us and you know, to help us get through.
It's
these
hopeful.
times.
It's the most optimistic thing that, like, it's the most at least for myself. I can only imagine that it would be and should be for other people. It really is the most optimistic thing. You know, Christianity, everything, their whole fucking big wet dream is the end of the world, the apocalypse. This means that we don't have to fucking end the world, that we can keep evolving and get even smarter. And if you believe Bob Lazar, what he read in his briefing document was that they actually, some advanced ETs actually created us while we were monkeys, fucking Homo sapiens, whatever.
Yeah.
Came here, genetically modified, sped up our DNA, and they've been helping us evolve. They literally created us, so they would help.
Well, there's that other there's the theory that I believe this might be an ancient astronaut theory, which, by the way, I'm not an ancient aliens guy, but they are onto something. I think that they Hollywoodize it a lot, but
there's some truth.
There's definitely some truth to it because cosmicism, is it
cosmology?
No, cosmology is like
what are you talking about?
Cosmology is like hair or makeup, isn't it?
That's cosmetology. Cosmetology.
What's
cosmology the study of like the cosmos, I assume.
No, the Russian
that's cosmonauts.
Yeah.
No, cosmonaut is someone who goes into a cosmonaut is an astronaut from Russia. There's a fundamental belief in Russia that we are from the stars and our destiny is to go back. I think it's cosmism.
Oh shit.
Right? That's their fundamental belief that life came to this earth from like an asteroid or something else and seeded our planet, and our destiny is to return to the stars. That's the basis for the Russian space because they know that they're so far behind us. Like if we wanted to be going to the moon, we'd be going to the moon. We have the capability. It's just we want to spend our money elsewhere, in further projects. So we just hitch rides with them. But nothing's going to stop these billionaires from like the space is currently the new frontier. It's the Wild West. We can't stop Elon Musk from going to Mars.
Bro, Elon still has
what's to happen when he gets there and he comes across a ruin of a civilization?
I used to be a huge Elon fan, bro. I'm totally against him nowadays. His technology, the rockets are old, bro. It's like whatever the ETs are using, anti-gravity, whatever, electromagnetic field propulsion.
Yeah, well, we don't readily have them yet, man.
We don't. But the fact that it exists, free energy exists.
Yeah, it pisses me off. It pisses me off.
But someone else is, and someone else can start. If they don't, we don't even have to create anything new. The government, these private companies have so many of these reverse engineered crafts that we could have been going to other dimensions, and they probably are going to other places and dimensions. Who knows? Secretly, it makes no sense that we haven't been back to the moon since the fucking 60s. Even with our rocket technology, you know what I'm saying?
They say that because we talked to we talked to the people that run the federation that runs the base on the moon, and they said don't come back, or try not to come back here, go other places. And it was amongst the treaty. I don't know. There's some fucking far-fetched theories about it, but and that's why we won't, explore the dark side too in depth. They'll let us go in and take shit, but that's about it. But let's move past that. We're going down the rabbit hole here.
You've seen Space Odyssey 2001.
Yeah, but final thoughts, guys. Final thoughts. I'm gonna ask you a final thoughts question. It's how I end these shows. Final thoughts on this. Oh, I just have my notes. Where'd it go? I'm sorry. Why don't you guys go start Lil Pop Tart. Where can they find you on social media?
Mostly Instagram, _Lil Pop Tart. I'm starting my YouTube channel. I'm starting to make YouTube, but I haven't got it underway yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm just in the very, very beginning stages. I got my fucking equipment, which is not set up, but yeah, I wanted to do YouTube and shit too. So mostly YouTube. Mostly Instagram.
Okay. What's the you just search in Lil Pop Tart?
Yeah, _Lil Pop Tart.
All right. Your final thought question is, are or is society ready to admit, really, really ready to admit, not just pretend, right, that we are not alone in the universe? Would more people be open to it, or do you think that more people would not be open to it?
I think that it's not an overnight thing. You know what I mean? To where maybe I don't know what would happen if the president went out and said, you know, UFO aliens are real, UFOs are extraterrestrial origin, whatever. But you know, I don't think that it's anything new. So, you know, people have had sightings and been making contact experiences with actual beings, not just UFOs. You know, so they can't say, you know, their excuse now is, oh, UFOs are real, but we can't fucking prove that they're extraterrestrial. Well, what about the fucking millions of cases of kids in Africa, kids in Australia, all these people, all these accounts of seeing actual beings and having contact with actual beings? You know, they're obviously piloted by somebody. Obviously, not all of them are from Earth. Obviously, a lot of them are not from Earth. And it's you know, honestly, I felt so stupid whenever in the beginning of 2020, when I had to wait for the government to tell me UFOs were real for me to believe it. So how much of a sheep do you think I felt like? Oh, the government's telling me something. So I'm like, what? I didn't even think that they were telling the truth. I was like, well, that doesn't sound, they're probably fucking lying. It's probably not aliens. I said, but it's some new technology nonetheless. And I'm going to study the subject and learn about this technology, because if there is alien technology and there's any proof of alien technology, I want to see this technology. That was my main interest. And whenever I first started making contact, I asked specifically I said, I want to be mind blown. I want your best technology. I want the max, the maximum level you can give me. Whatever the max is, I want that. And they did. They gave me the maximum. And I saw two that I can remember, actual physical crafts, actual physical technology that I'll remember my entire life. You know, so I think society's been ready, bro. It's the government and the governments around the world that aren't ready for themselves to be out of power, and whatever the 0.1% is that's controlling, that's been controlling this cover up and whatever for so long. It's them. It's the oil people or whatever, whoever the fuck. They're the only ones that don't want disclosure. That it's the 0.001%.
Okay.
Allegedly, 99.9% of the world would benefit from disclosure.
All right. Let's keep these to about a minute answers, okay? No offense. I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you before. I'm sorry. 2 hours. It's so hard to. I go to put it in a podcast and I have to split it. Okay. Greg, you know, tell us where they can find you on all your platforms.
So we're on all the social medias as Pursuit of the Paranormal or Pursuit of the Paranormal Podcast. Or you can get us on linktree.com/Pursuit of the Paranormal. That'll just take you to all of everything we've done, everything we do, merch store, everything like that. That's probably the best place. Facebook's really good. There's a few people on there that chat amongst ourselves. We've got a podcast group as well for people to have a discussion. We're new on TikTok, so check us out on TikTok. As a 45-year-old man, I've got no place on TikTok.
I'll help you. I'll collab with you on it.
Yeah.
We could do like a joint thing where we collab on each other, and it will be funny, right?
So we're learning a bit about TikTok, and
all right.
That's us.
Your final thoughts question is: the New York Times was the first time the wall came down in regards to UFOs, and the government's continued involvement in studying them after a long stretch saying that they weren't, right, and that was that December 16th, 2017 article. Black Money and Auroras, that one by Leslie Kean and some others. But if we admit, these are real, what's next for, why can't I read this? What's next for disclosure? Because what's the next revelation? Because, if all these things, all these dominoes are falling, right? We're at this point, it's not a fact. I mean, it's no longer a question whether these things are here. What's the next thing that we're going to get? Is it the reverse engineering? Is it the like Bob Lazar vindication? Is it, what's going to come next?
That they've been here longer than we have.
I love your fucking answer, Greg. Yes. And that's all you have to say. That's a good final thought answer.
We're the aliens.
Because you leave them and you wanting so much more. Because just by that, we can have a whole episode on that. And that gives us ideas for next episodes.
You're welcome.
Ash, where can they find you, bud?
Well, my website is ufoidentified.co.uk. Like I said at the start of the show, it's the biggest current day database of current day UFO sightings in the UK. We also have lots of articles, data reports, research articles. I run a community group. And we've also got a conference coming up in the UK. Last year, we had the biggest UFO conference in the UK. We've got this year's coming up in a couple of weeks, so you can follow that on there. All social media is generally just UFO Identified on Instagram, Twitter, all the usual. And you want to just reach out to me, it's just Ash Ellis on Facebook or Instagram as well.
You don't have Twitter?
Yes, Twitter as well. UFO Identified or Identified UFO on Twitter.
All right, maybe Greg, send me his thing.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right, and your final thoughts question. I know this is something we did already go over, but just do it again. With famous encounters like the Rendlesham Forest, which I know is in your neck of the woods, and all the credibility of the people involved, is it safe to say there is a nuclear connection?
Yes.
Because the Rendlesham Forest, whether they ever agreed to it or not, we know that they were hiding, that they had hangars, and they
people that have worked there, I've said the word nuclear.
Yeah, we know that they were housing nuclear weapons there.
Yeah.
It was the most strategic base in that area, to keep an eye on the what was it, they were keeping an eye on Russia,
yeah, it's Cold War time.
It was a Cold War, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. My name is Ty. Guys, thank you so much for doing this. Let's please, let's do it again very, very soon. Stick after the end credits, and Ash, you don't necessarily have to, but Greg, if you can, to represent your show. That way we can kind of talk some details for 5 minutes.
Cool.
But all right, guys, my name's Ty. Keep your eyes in the sky, and don't forget, I promise you, we are not alone, and it's time that we all wake up.